we're going to delve through the life of Zeno of Citium, the pioneering founder of Stoicism. This video will transport you back to the origins of one of the most influential philosophical movements of all time. We'll explore his groundbreaking encounter with Stoicism and how his teachings evolved into the profound doctrine known today. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the story of a philosopher whose ideas have transcended centuries, shaping the way we perceive resilience and the human spirit. Early life. Zeno was born in Citium, a city on the southern coast of Cyprus around 334 BC. Citium, originally a Phoenician settlement, had a significant Hellenistic influence due to its integration into the larger Greek world. This mixture of Greek and Phoenician cultures in Citium was unique, providing a backdrop of diverse social, cultural, and religious practices. Zeno's father, a merchant, was engaged in trades across the Mediterranean. This occupation not only brought prosperity, but also facilitated cultural exchange, which was crucial for Zeno's formative years. As a merchant's son, Zeno was involved in his father's business from a young age. This involvement would have included traveling to various trading centers, where he would meet people from different backgrounds and learn about their customs and philosophies. These experiences provided Zeno with a broad perspective on human behavior and cultural practices, fostering a natural curiosity about life and human nature. During Zeno's early life, the world of the Eastern Mediterranean was undergoing significant changes. Alexander the Great's conquests had recently spread Greek culture and language throughout the region, creating a new Hellenistic society that blended Greek ideas with local traditions. This era was marked by an increase in philosophical and scientific inquiry, as the newly created cosmopolitan cities like Alexandria became centers of learning and culture. In this dynamic environment, philosophical discussions would not have been limited to the academies and schools, but would have permeated public spaces and commercial exchanges. Merchants and travelers were often carriers of new ideas and philosophies, discussing concepts like virtue, the nature of the soul, and the role of fate in human life. These discussions would have been accessible to a young Zeno, sparking his interest in deeper philosophical questions. Philosophical journey. Zeno's philosophical journey began with an incident that could be seen as both a misfortune and a catalyst for change. According to historical accounts, Zeno, at the age of 22, was shipwrecked near Athens, with most of his cargo lost around 312 BC. This event left him stranded in a city for its strong interest in philosophy. In search of direction, Zeno visited a bookstore, a common place for seeking knowledge in Athens. The bookseller recommended Xenophon's Memorabilia, a series of dialogues featuring Socrates. Memorabilia introduces Socrates as a compelling figure, embodying wisdom, virtue, and an unwavering commitment to ethical living. This portrayal had a profound impact on Zeno, resonating with his own search for meaning and truth. It prompted him to delve deeper into philosophy, using Socrates' teachings as a foundational guide. Inspired by Socrates' example, Zeno became a student of Crates of Thebes, a prominent Cynic philosopher. The Cynics were known for their self-disciplined lifestyle and belief in living virtuously in accordance with nature, rejecting conventional desires for wealth, power, and fame. Crates provided Zeno with rigorous training in these ideals. However, Zeno quickly realized that living like a Cynic was too harsh for him, and he thought their lack of care for social rules was not very practical. Even though he liked the Cynic focus on being good and living simply, Zeno wanted to find a way of thinking that was more balanced and worked better with everyday society. Exposure to other philosophical schools. Zeno's intellectual curiosity led him to explore other philosophical perspectives. He attended lectures by Stilpo, a respected philosopher from the Megarian school, which was known for its sophisticated dialectical techniques and emphasis on logic, found by Euclid of Megara, a student of Socrates. Zeno was also drawn to the teachings of the Platonists and the academics who were heirs to Plato's philosophy. From them, Zeno absorbed elements of metaphysics and the theory of forms, which would later influence the Stoic understanding of the nature of reality and the role of universals. Through his extensive studies and personal reflections, Zeno began to formulate his own philosophical framework. This synthesis of Cynic virtue ethics, Megarian logic, and Platonic metaphysics culminated in the founding of Stoicism. Zeno's Stoicism retained the Cynic value of virtue, but proposed a more systematic approach to understanding the world and our place within it. His philosophy emphasized the development of personal virtue and rationality, aiming to align human nature with the more universal nature of the world. Aligning your actions with good principles is seen as the key to achieving a deep and lasting sense of well-being, which Zeno argued was achievable through the cultivation of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Founding of Stoicism. Around 300 BC, after years of studying and synthesizing various philosophical doctrines, Zeno, now 34 years of age, began imparting his own teachings. He chose the Stoa Poikile, painted porch, as the venue for his lectures. This was a significant public space in Athens, with communal space reflects Zeno's intention to make philosophy accessible to the public, embodying the practical and social aspects of his teachings. The name Stoicism derives from the Stoa Poikile, emphasizing the inseparable link between the physical location and the philosophical identity of the school. Zeno's philosophy emphasized three primary disciplines. Logic. He viewed logic not just as formal reasoning, but as a tool for discerning the truth about the world and human nature. This included the use of dialectic, propositions, and assertoric knowledge to cultivate clear and rigorous thinking. Physics. For Zeno, understanding the nature of the universe was crucial. Stoic physics included theories about the material and divine essence of the world, asserting that the universe is a coherent, purposeful whole governed by divine reason, logos. Ethics. The culmination of Zeno's philosophy was ethics, which he considered the practical application of logic and physics. He taught that virtue, defined as living in harmony with nature and reason, is the only true good and is both necessary and sufficient for happiness. Zeno's teachings advocated for living in accordance with nature, which meant aligning one's actions with the rational structure of the universe. This alignment involved understanding one's role in the larger context of life and acting in ways that reflect universal reason. Literary works and philosophical contributions. Zeno was a prolific writer, contributing extensively to the philosophical literature of his time. Among his many works, the most notable was Republic, a book that outlined his vision of a utopian society governed by reason. Zeno envisioned a society where all citizens were rational and virtuous, eliminating the need for conventional institutions of justice and law. Unfortunately, none of Zeno's original writings have survived. Our understanding of his thoughts and teachings comes indirectly through the works of his successors and later Stoic philosophers, particularly Cleanthes, who followed him as the head of the Stoic school, and Epictetus, who lived several centuries later. These philosophers preserved the essence of his ideas while adapting and expanding upon them in their own writings. Concept of apatheia. One of the core contributions of Zeno to Stoic philosophy was the concept of apatheia, or freedom from passion. This is often misunderstood as a call for emotional suppression or indifference, but in the Stoic context, it refers to a state of serenity that arises from the mastery over destructive emotions through rational thinking. Zeno taught that emotions like anger, envy, and excessive desire result from false judgments and a lack of philosophical understanding about what truly matters. Apatheia for Zeno was not about the absence of feelings altogether, but was about achieving a state where one is not overwhelmed by irrational and harmful passions. This inner tranquility was seen as a form of profound mental stability and freedom, enabling an individual to respond to life's challenges with clarity and effectiveness. Life and death of Zeno. Throughout his later years, Zeno remained active in both teaching and writing, embodying the Stoic ideals he espoused. He maintained a lifestyle characterized by simplicity and modesty, consistent with the Stoic virtues of self-discipline. Zeno died around 262 BC at the age of 72. Though the exact circumstances of his death are a subject of historical speculation, he is generally believed to have died of natural causes related to old age. The death of Zeno marked the end of his direct contributions to the development of Stoicism. However, the impact of his ideas was far from concluded. His teachings and philosophical legacy were carried forward by his disciples, most notably by Cleanthes, who succeeded him as the head of the Stoic school. Cleanthes preserved and continued many of Zeno's doctrines, and later the philosopher Chrysippus would further develop and systematize these ideas, cementing Stoicism as one of the predominant philosophical movements of the Hellenistic period. Chrysippus is often credited with providing the Stoic school with a more rigorous philosophical framework, especially in logic and physics. His contributions were crucial in articulating a comprehensive system of Stoic thought that would endure and expand, influencing generations of philosophers, statesmen, and general populace throughout the Roman era and beyond.